Salut à tous, c'est Retrolove, bienvenue sur Retrolove TV, j'espère que vous allez bien. On se retrouve pour le jeu vidéo indépendant de la semaine. Je suis toujours avec mon mal de gorge, donc je m'excuse si ma voix part en vrille. Donc cette semaine, je vais vous présenter The Stanley Parable. C'est un jeu que j'ai découvert il y a pas mal de temps, mais que j'avais jamais réussi à avoir la main dessus. Donc je vais vous le présenter. C'est un jeu qui est vraiment excellent parce qu'il remet un petit peu en question toutes vos habitudes de gameplay de gamer. C'est très drôle, c'est très bien fait. Et vous allez découvrir ça tout de suite. Je vous demande bien par contre de vous concentrer sur les textes qui vont être écrits. Parce qu'il y a vraiment de quoi rigoler. Déjà de par la façon dont c'est narré. Parce que tout est basé sur la narration dans ce jeu. Et sur les choix qui s'offrent à vous. Où justement vous aurez l'habitude vous aurez vos habitudes de gamer. Et il faudra de temps en temps essayer d'aller un petit peu à l'envers de ces habitudes de gamer là. Le chargement est un petit peu long. Donc c'est un mode d'Half-Life. Donc qui sert du moteur source. Il y a eu beaucoup de modes d'Half-Life qui ont eu des sorties comme ça de jeux. Et c'est vraiment très bien. Très bien. Valve, en ayant mis tous leurs jeux en open source, ont vraiment fait quelque chose de très bien, parce que ça a permis d'avoir une communauté émergente de développeurs, et ça nous a fait des petits chefs-d'œuvre comme ça.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Voilà. Donc vous avez vu l'intro. Donc en gros, on incarne un employé de bureau qui reçoit des ordres bêtes tous les jours et qui se retrouve sans aucun ordre un jour de travail normal.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Et donc il n'y a personne dans les bureaux, et donc toute l'aventure va se retrouver narrée comme ça au fur et à mesure du temps.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Donc voilà, par exemple, premier choix. Donc il me dit, voilà, Stanley arriva devant la porte et décide de partir vers la gauche. Mais je vois que je peux aussi aller à droite. Donc qu'est-ce que je fais? Est-ce que je suis la narration ou est-ce que je vais à l'encontre de la narration? Donc là, moi je vais suivre la narration, bêtement.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Donc on va dans le bureau du boss.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Donc c'est pareil, on avait le choix d'aller en bas. Je prends délibérément l'option de suivre la narration.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Stanley n'avait aucun moyen de savoir ça.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
En appuyant sur les boutons simplement par le fruit du hasard. Encore un chargement. Donc vous avez le choix hein, de suivre ou de ne pas suivre. Vous verrez que la narration s'en trouve différente. C'est vraiment très très drôle. Testez hein, quand vous essayerez vous le jeu de prendre différents chemins, d'écouter ou de ne pas écouter, de voir comment l'histoire se passe. Vous verrez que c'est vraiment très sympa.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ça j'adore aussi. Alors il nous dit qu'on marche vers Mind Control Facility, puis on voit Escape, donc enfin, un échappatoire quoi. Qu'est-ce que je fais? Parce que moi je suis pas passé par là lors de mon premier run justement. Allez là-bas.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Je pense qu'on va le savoir.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ok. On est surveillé. Comme les Américains surveillent Facebook, c'est ça?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
C'est excellent parce que ce qu'ils sont en train de dire, c'est un petit peu ce qu'on est en train de faire.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Alors je ne sais pas du tout ce que je dois faire. Il y a un bouton là-haut, c'est quoi, 4. 2, j'appuie sur le 2. C'est le 5. Donc le 3. Peut-être là. Alors 3. Le 4. Alors je ne peux pas sauter, hein, je peux que m'accroupir. Pas d'action dans le jeu. Et le 5. Je sais pas trop à quoi ça m'a servi de faire ça. Un peu à rien. Et là alors... Bon.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Donc il m'incite à faire off, moi je vais faire on.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. but I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless, to see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count.
C'est une torture ce jeu.
It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
C'est vraiment excellent tout ce qu'il dit dans son monologue là, quand il parle d'appuyer sur le bouton. C'est exactement ce qu'on a fait en fait pendant la partie. J'espère que vous avez eu le temps de bien tout lire correctement, parce que c'est vraiment excellent, parce que c'est vrai que tout est juste dans ce qu'il dit en fait.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Tiens, on reprend.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
J'y vais pas.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith... Oh, no, you can't... Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Ils sont tarés dans ce jeu. Tarés, je vous jure.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Alors là, j'ai plus le choix.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Ils ont mis des barrières pour pas que je saute. Il fait tout pour que je lui désobéisse pas, quoi.
almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Provoque!
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Plus de réaction.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone? Left here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to. I'm still here in this pile of rubbish, with you who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Bon, alors là, on est encore confronté, encore une fois, de nouveau à ce choix. Mais je vais m'arrêter là. J'espère que cette vidéo vous aura plu. Je vous incite vraiment à tester ce jeu parce que c'est vraiment énorme. Il y a plein de choses encore qu'on n'a pas vues. Vous allez bien rigoler. Ça vous remet en question un petit peu sur votre situation de gamer et sur les choix que vous feriez habituellement. Et c'est vraiment très sympa. Ça s'appelle The Stanley Parable. C'est disponible sur Steam. C'est une version anticipée. Et je vous incite vraiment à tester. Et encore une fois, je m'excuse pour ma voix qui part en quiquette à cause de mon mal de gorge. Et je vous dis à très bientôt sur Retrolove TV. Ciao tout le monde.